Good evening, everyone. Hope you all are doing well. Let's take a look and see what is going on with Bitcoin. Man, oh man, has it been a day. Had a very pretty decent move up. From yesterday's candle. Basically, we closed $1,227 up. Our high was 80,825, low being 78,512. Just still getting that expensive move up. And then today's candle, you take a look at this. Our high was 81,465, low is 80,106. I mean, just a lot of bullishness in the air. So, what to expect for tomorrow? There is going to be so much activity tomorrow. Here's the thing. I was hoping that okay, so let's take a couple steps back here. First of all, we have this flag. Okay? We know we measured this out. We talked about it being measured from the bodies, right? And then we can basically pull that measured move, right? That measured move goes, let's see how far that would go. So again, and this doesn't break out that often, right? So this is telling us off the bat that this is going to reach probably that 84-ish, 151-ish number, if not 84,782 is the actual measured move. So here's the thing, guys. Tomorrow is loaded with Fed events. So, we broke out yesterday. We have this candle, which is basically looking like a continuation. Tomorrow is filled with red folders. You're high as heck on the stochastics RSI. You had a red dot printed on your, basically this is a Fu Manchu. It's not the official one, but, it basically copies the same thing as Market Cipher. So, anyways, guys, for me, I don't like to go off of a lot of indicators, but we are getting overextended. And like I said, at the very most, you can possibly expect that blow off top. We could get up here if it wants to, right? And it could even do it overnight. It's just sketchy to me that it's doing it right now. It's doing it during Asia session. So what is that going to entail for tomorrow if we're already starting to pump and kind of make our high for the day? I mean, is this our low? Is our low only 80,106? Or are we going to start diving into the 70s again? That's the bigger question that I have. And obviously, we made our high. It's finding a lot of sensitivity around 81.5, which was to be expected. There was liquidity there that we took out. It's just the question is whether or not we're going to stay above 80,491, consolidate here, and just get that blow off top that I've been expecting. I don't think that we're in an environment where we're going to get extremely bearish and even drop, below weekly open. I don't think that's possible, or that's probable, I should say. Anything is possible, but I don't think it's probable that we're even going to revisit 77,710. That being said, I mean, I do think that there's a possibility that we can get a 786 retracement in here. So maybe 78,000 somewhere in here in this area again, because price loves to be in this area. So it's gonna be really difficult to say, guys. I mean, I've been scalping all day. I'm tired. I've been scalping on and off all day, trying to just catch little tiny dips in the market where I could, and then writing it up. I did write this last one up to around 80. It was around 81,200-ish area. I took profit. It did skyrocket a little bit more. But man, I mean, I'm probably myself. I'm going to sit out unless I see a bigger retracement. Even if we pump up another $3,000, I mean, it's getting really risky. And when the market's in this type of environment right here, even though we are in a very bullish environment, I mean, there comes a point where you pump for so long that it's kind of starting to be like gambling in a weird ways. Because it's like you're taking a lot of risk, right? You know that the probability is getting lower and lower the more that you take these positions up here. So it's really what it boils down to is more so about structure and timing, right? And I know that August is definitely going to be a bullish month. We're going to close bullishly. It's just the question now is whether or not we made our high, or if we're going to hit that 84,151, 84,700 area. Possibly, even if it really wants to get violent, hitting the 87,624. One thing I will say is that, the harder this pumps this month, it's going to probably get really sketchy for September, and it's not going to probably look pretty for September. So ideally, I would like for us to consolidate more. Consolidate maybe in the low 80,000-ish range. Let's get up to 81, 82,000, start consolidating here and see what happens, right? That would be the ideal scenario in my opinion. I believe a lot of a lot of these, 3-day, 5-day, 4-day, 2-day, they're all overextended on your stochastics. So at some point, that's going to have to reset, right? I don't know how that's going to reset, whether we're going to drop when it resets or just consolidate. But obviously, this rising wedge did surprisingly break out to the upside, right? We took this high right here. This is kind of a precursor as to where the market was going to go. So we took that 81,258 high. We made 81,465 our new high. So that is our high for the month as of right now. But we have to wait and see, what happens as far as tomorrow goes. Tomorrow's going to be extremely interesting. Your 8 hour looking halfway decent. 4 hours not bad. I mean, ideally for tonight, guys, what you're going to want to see is us close and continue closing candles above 80,491. That's going to be your line in the sand. If we close below this level, you have to know that there's a potential that we can basically get, more so into this order block again. I'm probably going to remove this once it's completely filled. But down into this order block again, possibly testing 78,751 again. It's just the more that this is overextended, there's going to be a bigger crash at some point, right? So it's going to be interesting to see what liquidity looks like. I haven't really taken a look tonight because like I said, I have been scalping quite a bit, taking some profit here and there. So, this obviously looks extremely bearish on the 1 hour. Can it possibly reverse? Yeah, technically it could. I don't know. Is that making bearish divergence? Let's see. So this is swinging up. So not really bear div on the 4 hour yet. I don't know if it's maybe on the 8 hour. Is it showing bear div? Not really. This is not really swinging down. This is swinging up, but we're not getting a swing down yet. So not any bearish divergence just yet. Could be on the smaller time frames though. I don't know. This is still swinging up as well. I don't know, guys. But anyways, you're getting that drop down. That's obviously what's going to happen eventually. You're losing 80,491. Right now on the 15-minute. I mean, we could easily just kind of pop back up there, but this is going to be the line to really watch for tonight, guys. Okay, this is going to be really important for us to watch. If we can stay above it, consolidate above it, bring the 21 back into price action, you could possibly get that move into 82,429 and then even above to 84,151. But we're going to have to wait and see. Let's see, the 10-minute. Yeah, I mean, it does show that you could possibly get in there. 5-minute. Yeah, so as far as levels go tonight, guys, definitely watch 80,491. If we lose that, watch the bottom of this order block right here. 79,532 kind of would be my next area, maybe 79.6. So that would be some sort of, I guess, bullish 786 level retracement. Let's see. Let's pull it from this one right here. Yeah, we already hit that. So it'd have to be like from here, maybe. Probably maybe from here. Yeah, that lines up right around 79,535. So not pulling from the wick, but the body here, and then the wick high. So 79,535 is going to be the level I'm going to be watching. 79,535 to 79.6 if we were to lose 80,491 to the downside. So those are two levels to watch for right now. And then to the upside, obviously, guys, 82,429 is going to be your next pit stop as a resistance level, and then 84,151. Finally, if we get above that somehow, some way tomorrow, testing yearly open is going to be the next spot I'm going to be targeting, 87,624. That is going to be a very strong level of overhead resistance. That is basically where Bitcoin opened for this whole entire year. We have not yet revisited it within the last couple of months, so that is going to be a magnet for price for right now. All right, guys, that being said, let's take a look and see what liquidity shows us, kind of, if it aligns with any of my levels here. Let's go ahead and take a step back. Let's take a look at liquidity and see what's happening there. All right, so taking a look at the 4 hour. All right, so you're finding some resistance based off of this yellow liquidity right here. I do tell you guys quite a bit that the yellow and red liquidity can, and possibly even sometimes the green liquidity can actually act as resistance. So you can basically take out the blue liquidity up to it and then tap it, and it will act as resistance, and that's what we're seeing right here. All right, so we're gonna have to plow through this 81, 600-ish level to maintain, bullish bias. We'll have to get above that. We'll have to get above 82,000, and then leading into 83,000 area to 84,000. Obviously, 84,151 was my target. That's basically going to be right above this end of this red liquidity right here. So that's right around here. That is kind of my first target for price if it wants to continue moving up. We can, however, get into the 85,000-ish area if it absolutely wants to, and we blow past all this liquidity, which is not very probable at this point. It definitely is possible. I don't know if it's probable for August, though. We'll have to wait and see. Marking off the 10x, it does look like our resistance doesn't start until about 83,000, getting into the 84,000-ish range, and then obviously ending at about 86,000. So if we're able to get past 86,000, we do have a good chance of visiting that 87-ish level, which would be, like I said, the yearly open. All right, let's take a real quick look at the 1 hour. So taking a look at the 1 hour, let's see here. All right, so if we get the drop, guys, the 1 hour is showing us that 79.7 to 79.5-ish level is going to be our target. Again, that's going to align with that bottom of that order block, so that is a very realistic target. I would keep that on your radar. We don't really have leading liquidity or any bridges to bridge us down here. Keep in mind that we can get down here, though, if it really wants to. If it wants to be aggressive and make what we call a lightsaber, which means that it's going to basically dump and pump and have this huge, gigantic, multi-$1,000 candle. It could reach down here into the 78,400 range and then pump back up into the 80,000-ish level, right? 81,000-ish level. So that is also possible as well because we have the crazy Fed folders tomorrow. Expect anything. Be extremely careful. Please do not give back your gains this week. Even if price goes on a tear and it's not, and you're not, in alignment with price, whether it be to the downside or to the upside, be very cautious and don't give up your gains that you made for the week. If you guys did profit from this week, again, this was a very profitable week, I think, for all of us. Same with last week. So be very cognizant about tomorrow. Tomorrow can be very hectic and crazy. I'm just going to warn you guys. So as far as, what we're expecting on the hourly, I would expect a dump into this area. 79.6 to 79.5 would be my target. I did post this in the Sin City crypto group. I have been targeting this. We just went up first. But this would be kind of my next area that I would be targeting before we get down into the 78.3-ish, 78.5-ish range. All right, taking a look at your 15-minute. The 15-minute kind of targeting the same area, right? That little green line right there is right around 79.6, so I would be targeting that for now. If you do lose this area, you can basically assume that we're going to go down into the 78.5-ish area to 78.3-ish area. Now, again, that's going to be your crucial support because if you lose that, you're going to basically be plowing through all this liquidity to the downside. And that's where your shorts are going to begin, right? This is all liquidity that basically has been building up. So just keep in mind that 78.5 is going to be so crucial, for us to hold. Taking a look at the 50X also shows 77,488. So I guess that could be another level, but I am basing this off of the 100X. I do not want to see us lose 78.5. All right. 5-minute would be our final time frame. So we do have that liquidity again to that 79.6-ish area. That would be our first target. Next area would be 78.5-ish area once again. The 50X does show that you have a bridge down, that you can get down there. You do have some more liquidity at 77.5. So it'll be very interesting to see whether or not we can get a bounce right here for right now. All right, guys. So that being said, let's take a real quick look at open market, which is our free order book that we always take a look at to align with liquidity. So to the upside, you're going to be looking at about, again, we have some orders again, 81,450 leading up to about 81,800 to 82,000. Once you get above 82,000, you have all these orders just lined up and ready all the way up to 82,800 and finally to 83,000. So this is definitely a prime area that could be visited if it wants to. You do have a lot of orders still to the upside, so keep that in mind. To the downside, you do have one order building up right around 79.4. So again, that's going to be taking out all this liquidity right here, this small pool, basically alluding to the fact that we could get that drop, right? That drop into this pool. See if we can get that bounce from there. If not, then we're going to drop into the 78.4, 78.5-ish area. All right, there is one order of note to take a look at around 78.150, so keep that on your radar. 78.150 is showing up here, so that would be somewhere down here, I guess, after taking out this pool, so that would allude to the fact that we're going to take this whole pool and maybe bounce off the top of this pool. All right, let's take a real quick look at our simple map, see what's going on there. All right, so taking a look at our simple map, you don't have a lot of shorts to the upside on your scalping timeframes. You have very little liquidity. Let's see, if you do get up here, your first level of resistance is going to be 81.520, as we saw. If you're basically going to be fighting an uphill battle this whole time up until about 81.760. You get to 81.760, you can kind of get a little bit of a follow through to probably about 82.480. To 82.560 it looks like, and then you're going to have a real problem with 82.80, 83,000-ish area more than likely. So that's to the upside, and then to the downside, guys, let's take a look here. So you got a couple of support areas. Your first area being 80,000. Next area is going to be around 79,380 to 79. So basically 79,380, it's going to basically look like we're going to take out that full little tiny pool that we saw on TradingDifferent. So 79,380, it looks like it's going to be your next target as a support level, followed by 78,810. You lose 78,810 though, it's going to get real ugly, and you can basically plow through all the way to about 78,120, and then finally that will move you up to 77,550. So there are some support levels to the downside. 78,500-ish area is going to be crucial for us to hold. There is quite a bit of liquidity in this area as well, so keep that in mind. Again, be very careful when trading tonight because we are leading into a day tomorrow that's going to have a lot of events, and I will remind you guys what events those are in a little bit. So once again, the swing time frames, let's see if anything is different. So to the upside, you're going to be looking at 81.560, 520 to 560 as overhead resistance, followed by 81.760, and then to about 82,000 even, and then finally up to about 82,500-ish area to 82,560. You get above 82,560, then you can start visiting 82,840 to 83,000. Now to the downside, you're going to be looking at 80,000 as your first support point, followed by the 79,560 to 79,380 levels. You roll through that, you can get to about 78,810, then to that 78,300-ish area, and then finally getting into the 77,550. So real quick, guys, before I let you guys go, let's take a real quick look at the Forex Factory, remind ourselves what's going on tomorrow and why tomorrow is so important. All right, so you have Fed Chairman Warsh speaking at 7 a.m. You have the preliminary benchmark payrolls revision at 7 a.m. You have revised UOM consumer sentiment and you revised UOM inflation expectations. Both are orange folders, doesn't matter as much. And then the final thing that you have is Jackson Hole Symposium, the second day, which is a bigger day than the first day. So Warsh combined with payrolls, combined with Jackson Hole Symposium will all cause price basically to probably move. You also have Jackson Hole Symposium on Saturday as well, it looks like. So tomorrow is going to be huge at 7 a.m. Be very cautious. Again, I'm not going to give you guys financial advice, but I'm just going to tell you from my own experience, when there are red folders, try not to hold trades through this time unless you have a huge range that you're playing or you're trading with. And another thing is, wait until at least 15-20 minutes after the events to start your trading. Or, if you find a setup, like if price drops through the night and you see like a 786 retracement or the Sammy special or something else happen or a bull flag after a stop hunt, go ahead and you can try it if you want to, right? But just know the risk. Know the risk because these all can mess a lot with price, okay? All right, guys, that being said, that is what I have for you for this evening. As usual, if you guys want to use TradingDifferent and this amazing tool suite that I use every single video, Feel free to use my code Sean, tradingdifferent.com/code/Sean to get 10% off your order. I am using this thing consistently, whether it be on my PC or my phone. It helps me take scalps. It helps me identify setups. It helps me with my stop losses, my take profits. For example, I took a long, right, from right around here, 80,000. And basically, I was able to hold this thing all the way up into, I basically held it a little bit further around into this yellowish area, where I took profit. But you can see how price basically went into this yellow area and then just immediately retraced after. I mean, this was a perfect take profit area, right? So it shows you really where some ideal areas are to take profit. You could have even taken profit at this red area and it wouldn't have been bad. You'd have just been off by a few $100s, right? Who cares? So, these are amazing tools to be able to use to really, drive home an impact on your trades, and it can really help you with not round tripping your trades if you're having issues with that. I know that most of us do have a problem with knowing where to take profits and when to take profits and not holding for too long, or maybe you are holding for too long and you regret it. This really, really helps with that. So, and it's available with a bunch of different assets as well. I mainly look at Bitcoin, but you can see how many different, there's stocks, Forex, ETFs, other cryptos, a lot of other cryptocurrencies, right? But, just keep that in mind, guys. It's a really amazing tool set to be able to use. All right, guys, that being said, that is what I have for you for tonight. I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and I will be back tomorrow morning to cover and see what happened after some of those Fed folders. All right, take care, guys. I'll talk to you later.